Welcome to 'Tis the Soundtrack, the podcast dedicated to digging deep and bringing you the merriest of music all year long. I'm your host, Kevin Williams, and I recently made the mistake of asking, what was the first Christmas album? A quick Google would surely return the definitive first Christmas album, right? Of course, like most things in life, it wasn't that simple. Does first album mean the first collection of Christmas songs to appear on a single piece of physical media? If so, then the first Christmas album would likely be Christmas Songs by Sinatra, which was released by Columbia Records in 1948. This is generally regarded as the first Christmas album released as an LP, or long play. That's the brand new format Columbia had just unveiled a few months prior, which allowed an entire collection of songs to fit on a single vinyl disc. Or, if you're not hung up on the single piece of media requirement, then, does first album mean the first collection of Christmas recordings sold as a set? By that definition, Bing Crosby's 1945 album, Merry Christmas, is considered to be the first commercial Christmas album. It was released as a collection of 5 78s, with one song on each side of each 10-inch shellac disc. While Bing was Google AI's answer to first Christmas album, record companies had been releasing box sets of 78s for over 30 years at that point, and I can't imagine that a Christmas release or two didn't make it in there somewhere. Or maybe we get even a bit more esoteric and ask if the first Christmas album needs to be an audio recording at all. Would a modern collection of holiday arrangements and lyrics be considered the first Christmas album? What if it was a 3-book collection? Would that be considered a Christmas box set that predates the invention of the 78s? But I'm getting a little ahead of myself now. Attempting to answer my question sent me down the rabbit hole that is the fascinating history of the American music industry. From the music publishers of 200 years ago, to the completely consolidated record industry of today, and the technological advancements that have shaped how we listen and what we listen to every step of the way, Christmas music included. While that journey was terrible for my general productivity, it was great for content. I'm collecting that information into a new series called The History of the Christmas Album. In this first episode, we'll look at the rise and fall of sheet music from roughly the 1840s to 1910, what Christmas music looked like during that period, and how it set the stage for the sound recordings that followed it. And with that, here we go. Throughout the 19th century, music was primarily produced and consumed in a single form: sheet music. If you wanted to hear that catchy new Christmas tune, Jingle Bells, there was no YouTube, no Tidal, no Bandcamp, no radio stations, no record stores. You went to a specialty music store, the same place you'd purchase your instruments, buy the sheet music, take it home, and perform it yourself on piano. And if you didn't live near a sheet music seller, have the disposable income to purchase the sheet music, possess the skills necessary to read and perform it, or own the requisite piano, then you were kind of out of luck. Your next best chance to hear Jingle Bells was to score a dinner invite from a neighbor, friend, or family member who did check all the boxes above and hope the evening went well enough that it progressed from the dining room to the parlor. Or, if a new song was popular enough, there was also the chance of catching a public performance by a local community or church choir. But don't hold your breath for the latter. Jingle Bells was far too secular for most mid-19th century church services. Despite all the limitations of this early format, several factors led to the exponential rise of sheet music sales in the latter half of the 1800s. American music publishers, songwriters, and composers began concentrating in an area along Manhattan's West 28th Street, which would later be known as Tin Pan Alley. Initially a derogatory term for a rundown piano, due to the success of this cohort and the music they produced, Tin Pan quickly evolved to mean a hit songwriting business. In addition to the hit music itself, Tin Pan Alley also birthed the new promotional technique of plugging songs, This involved orchestrating national campaigns to promote awareness and demand for new sheet music by having the songs performed repeatedly all across the country by local and traveling artists. This new form of marketing, coupled with the advent of less expensive mass-produced pianos in the latter half of the 19th century, brought sheet music to middle-class Americans and helped drive sales to meteoric levels. Sheet music became so popular that it was no longer limited to specialty music stores, booksellers, and publisher catalogs. You could buy the latest songs at any reputable general store, and newspapers started including free sheet music inserts to boost circulation. This period also saw the penning of many new Christmas carols that remain popular today, including Silent Night, Joy to the World, Hark the Herald Angels Sing, It Came Upon a Midnight Clear, O Holy Night, Good King Wenceslas, Angels We Have Heard on High, We Three Kings, What Child Is This, O Little Town of Bethlehem, and Away in a Manger.
No crib for his bed. A little Lord Jesus laid down his sweet head. The stars in the sky looked down where he lay. The little Lord Jesus.
The first secular American holiday songs, Jingle Bells, Up on the Housetop, and Jolly Old St. Nicholas were also written during this time. Additionally, many older Christmas hymns also received English translations, rearrangements, or new lyrics during this period. These include O Christmas Tree, receiving the second and third stanzas in 1824, Adesta Fidelis, translated to English in 1841, The First Noel and God Rest Ye Merry Gentlemen, both rearranged in 1867, and Here We Come A-Wassailing, receiving its modern arrangement in 1871.
Love and joy come to you, and to you glad Christmas too, and God bless you and send you a happy new year, and God send you a happy new year.
A clear example of the incredible growth and popularity of sheet music between the first and second halves of the 19th century can be seen in the sales of American music. Prior to the end of the 1840s, no American song had sold more than 5,000 copies of sheet music. By the end of the century, multiple songs had sold over 1 million copies each. That's a 20,000% increase in less than 50 years. This trend continued into the early 20th century, with over 100 songs each selling 1 million or more copies between 1900 and 1910 alone. But beneath those unprecedented sales, the sheet music industry was already beginning to falter. What appeared to be an unshakable industry at the onset of the 20th century was just a couple of decades away from being a casualty of the same middle-class consumerism that fueled its rise. The same families who were buying pianos and sheet music in the 1880s started buying phonographs and gramophones in the 1910s. This shift, along with other technological advancements, like the introduction of broadcast radio, caused sheet music sales to begin falling in the 1920s. Quick tangent. The first long-distance audio broadcast via radio occurred on Christmas Eve 1906. That broadcast included inventor Reginald Fessenden, who was performing the experiment, playing O Holy Night on violin. Okay, back to sheet music. Sales of sheet music continued to decline until the music publishers were fully supplanted by recording companies as the music industry's center of power a short time later. The rapid decline of sheet music is very apparent when you look at lifetime sales numbers. While many compositions from the 1850s through the early 1900s have amassed sheet music sales in the multi-millions, only a handful of songs from 1930 onward have been able to generate the same success. Two notable and very Christmas-related exceptions include Irving Berlin's White Christmas from 1942 and Johnny Mark's Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer from 1949, which have sold an estimated 5 to 6 million and 7 to 8 million copies of sheet music respectively since released. While the technological leap from printing to recording sank sheet music, it didn't stop Christmas
from coming. It came.
Composers and songwriters were now crafting Christmas tunes with recording in mind. Christmas Time Seems Years and Years Away by Irving Berlin and Tim Schneider was not only written in 1910, but had a recording of the song performed by singer Manuel Romain released the same year.
Christmas times mean happy times for you and me, sweetheart. Winter time means you'll be mine and never more to part.
Traditional songs continued to receive new treatments during this time as well. First published in 1909, Frederick Austin's arrangement of the 12 Days of Christmas quickly became the standard melody that is still used by performers and recording artists today. While there are no Christmas sound recordings before the 1880s, and none surviving from before the late 1890s, there is one specific series of works from this period that I alluded to at the top. Christmas Carols New and Old by John Stainer and Henry Ramsden Bramley. Christmas Carols New and Old was a series of 3 songbooks published between 1867 and 1878. Altogether, the series contains 70 traditional and modern carols, with Bramley providing English translations and adaptations for several, and Stainer creating many new arrangements that are still used today. This series marked the reintroduction to the American public of music and words set together for centuries-old carols like The First Noel, God Rest Ye Merry Gentlemen, and Here We Come a-Wassailing. To me, this series, which covers Christmas songs from the 14th century German carol Good Christian Men Rejoice, to John Henry Hopkins Jr.'s We Three Kings, which was barely a decade old when the book was first published, is a strong contender for the original Christmas album, or, perhaps more accurately, the original 3-album compilation. And with that, we'll end this first episode of The History of the Christmas Album. In our next episode, that is the next episode of the series, not necessarily the next episode of the podcast, we'll look at recorded music's first format war, a battle between Thomas Edison's phonograph cylinders and Emil Berliner's gramophone discs. And of course, we'll touch on what Christmas music was being created during that period. Thank you for listening to 'Tis the Soundtrack. You can find all of our past episodes on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. We don't judge, but we'd sure appreciate a like or subscribe while you're there. You can also find us on Instagram, Threads, and Blue Sky, all under the handle @TisTheSoundtrack. Our website is tisthesoundtrack.com, and you can get in touch with us via email at kevin@tisthesoundtrack.com. Our intro music is Krampus Workshop by that wizard of most everything audio, Kevin MacLeod. You can find him and his work at incompetech.com. All other music, songs, and snippets of audio used throughout this episode belong to their respective copyright holders and are used solely for the purpose of commentary. Links to all the music featured in this episode are available in the show notes or episode description for you folks on YouTube. Cheers, and Merry Christmas.